Okay. So again, all the attendees, hello and a very warm welcome for joining us from different parts of the world. Dear attendees, we are Uni Athena, and today we are here for the webinar on organizational ethics, case study discussion. So I'm Ankita. I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. And joining with me is Ms. Pankari Sharma, our panelist and faculty. She'll be enlightening us with her knowledge and expertise. Just to give you a small brief on Ms. Pankari Sharma. Ms. Sharma is a PhD scholar at St. Xavier's University, Kolkata. She has worked with IIM Calcutta and MDI Gurgaon. In addition to this, she possesses a comprehensive 4-year track record as an assistant professor. She is also known for offering an exceptional command of English and Hindi to her students. So I think we are going to have a lively and a wonderful session today. Looking forward to all of you to stay with us, to get to know her. So over to you, Ms. Sharma.
Thank you, Ankita, for the nice introduction and your kind words. I hope I am audible. Yeah. So, thank you, Athena, for giving me a chance to speak something about the little bit of knowledge I have regarding the ethics and culture. As the name itself is saying organizational ethics, but before I move to the ethic ideology, I'm glad that you people have given a lot of good answers and your participation is remarkable. So I must congratulate you for that. Hello, everyone. A very warm hello and a very good morning to all of you. But before I move to my things which I have in my basket to tell you, and whatever the knowledge I have gathered through my understanding of ethics and culture, before moving to the ethic ideology, I really want you people to understand what exactly the culture is. Let's move to the next slide, which talks about the culture. So, culture is basically, if you ask me to define culture in simple definition, I think I'm not able to do justice with the word because culture is something very experienceable in nature. If I go with the definition which UNESCO has given, it says that it is a distinguished feature of spiritual, intellectual, and emotional features which deals in the society. If I go with one of the very famous sociologists, he says that it is a mixture of complex ideas, knowledge, beliefs. But what I believe, in my words, culture is something which I have interpreted from the society beliefs, from the society ideas, from the society knowledge. And very frankly, I'm saying that culture is the key factor which develops the ethical ideology. So before understanding the ethics, we have to understand what exactly the culture is. Culture differentiate people from each other. If somebody is saying that I like the culture, what does it actually mean? They actually means that they like their experience over there. They like the community over there. They like the ideas over there. They like the beliefs over there. So when somebody is enjoying that community, they are actually interpreting and taking up the values from that one particular ideas and beliefs which is presentable there in that one particular society or community. So culture is very important when you are dealing with ethics. Now move to the next slide, which talks about the organization culture. But before that, we have a poll question here. And I really want to ask you people that do you really think that the individual citizenship behavior influence culture?
Very interesting question, Ms. Sharma. I think everybody will want to answer this.
Yeah, if I'm glad, Ankita. I really like the compliment, but I really want to see that what is their understanding of citizenship behavior because we are here to understand the ethics and ethos. I have read one chat, and definitely you're going to learn something very, very meaningful about ethics and ethos? Okay, so waiting for the answer, and I'm really looking for that. At what going to be a percentage of this answer? So, what do you think, people? Like, yes, citizenship behavior influence culture. Now, you people are saying that the ethics, the values which you have in your intrinsic behavior plays an important role in developing the ethical ideology which directly or indirectly influencing the culture. And that's really true. The set of values, beliefs, what you get from your family is something very intrinsic and very individual. But what when your values are getting aligned with the organization values, that develops a culture. Your citizenship behavior defines your pro social values, your extra role behavior, and you will only do extra when you feel satisfied at your workplace. And you will only feel satisfied at your workplace when you have a good culture at your workplace. So, culture is very important when you are dealing with the good ethical behaviors. You can't expect people to be ethical if they are not liking something at their workplace. So, overall personality of any organization definitely influences the ethics of one individual. So it is very important for people to have a good citizenship behavior. I really want my audience to understand this thing that there is a term in organizational behavior called organizational citizenship behavior, which has been given by Batman and Organ. And they says that when people feels that they are citizen of the organization, they do something extra in the organization, but that is only dependent when they have a good culture at their workplace. Moving to the next slide, which talks about the company culture, the organization culture. The benefits which we get from the company is something very tangible in nature. Office environment, amenities, people, dress code, all these things are very, very tangible in nature, which can be touched, which can be seen, which can be feel. But on the other side, when you see the culture relates with many more things, and your ethics depend on all the invisible things, your trust, your openness, your transparency, your mission, your purpose, your learning opportunities, all these things are very important part of culture. And you only learn when you see a good working environment. You only communicate with transparency when you see there is a ear to listen to you, when you find that your leaders are actually trying to talk to you, trying to communicate to you. When you see there is no biasness, you will openly have that autonomy to take up the decisions. So it is very important for everyone to understand that your only good ethics are coming when you're getting a good working culture. So when I'm saying that culture is influenced by ethics or ethics influenced by culture, then I myself as don't have a a very great answer on that, because your ethics ideology get developed when you keep on getting the good working culture. So it is very important for all of you to understand that organizational ethics deals with the people's behavior. Organization ethics deals with the people attitude and rituals, but it is very important for organization to understand that a good working culture is required to develop a good ethical ideology and practices. Moving to the next slide, which talks about what exactly fosters a good excellent organization or a good cultural organization or excellent organization. Definitely the organizational vision is very important. And it is very important for an individual to also understand this thing that he or she is compliant. You have given a very good answer, like the first question which Ankita has kept, that what exactly fosters the ethics? So, like, it's compliance. That's true. That's true. There are some set of rules, abided rules that one need to follow. But the organizational vision will only be achieved when it is not only with the rules, it has to be more than that. And your ethical ideology is very dependent on the environment what you are getting. You only aligned the organization goal with your individual visions when you feel there is a positive working environment. You only do a meaningful work at your workplace when you see that you got a chance to prove yourself. Collaboration is the most important part when you are fostering the cultural aspect in the organization. Knowledge sharing behavior is very important. And why it is important? Because when you have that top to middle to lower down approach now, over there, maybe many a time people will not have that kind of a platform where they can speak, where they can talk about their problems. Definitely, a good building, a team building attitude is required to foster a good working culture. And you can only excellent your culture, you can only, be more productive in your approach when you allow the people to have an open communication. It is very important for all of you to understand that collaboration plays a most important role. Now, if you see commitment, a very famous author, Ellen and Mayer, defines commitment in three antecedents. They says that people works with three antecedents at their workplace. One is affective, second is continuous, and the third is normative. Maybe the organization has given you one particular goal or one particular task which you have to achieve in that one particular stipulated time. But what kind of a commitment you are carrying at your workplace will foster the ethical values at an individual level and definitely will going to add on the productivity at a cultural level. So it is very important for an individual as an intrinsically, because we are talking about ethics here. So it is very important to have this thing that what kind of a commitment you are carrying in your mind, what kind of a relation you are having in your mind with the people, with your top head, with your lower head, what kind of a commitment plays an important role here. So it is very important for an individual to understand that what matters the most to him and why he is sharing that purpose. What is that main thing? So it is very, very, what I would not say very important, and I would say it's a very vital thing because when you talk about this shared purpose, now that shared purpose will only be fulfilled when there is a more effective commitment at your workplace, when you are involved yourself with the emotion, right? The pursuit of excellence, as I was, thinking about this pursuit of excellence, and I thought that what exactly shall I keep here? Learning and continuous improvement is the most important thing when you talk about pursuit of excellence. After COVID, we realized that remote working option is the best way we can communicate. Just look at us. I'm in India and you're somewhere outside the world. We are connecting with each other because we keep on doing the best. We keep on doing we keep on looking for the best of the option. So continuous improvement is definitely required. And why? Because it makes us to go above. It makes us to move further. It makes us to be more market oriented. So learning and continuous improvement is the most important aspect of cultural excellence. Now moving to the next slide, that how actually we can, like I have already discussed about that what exactly the factors which contribute in developing the cultural excellence. When you have a good working environment, definitely it will add on to the good performance. A good performance includes a lot of things. As a HR perspective, as an OB perspective, I'm saying, because as we are talking about ethics here, so it is the duty of a leaders to utilize the manpower in that manner that the person who is doing the work will not complete the task just because there is a pressure. Because I believe that deadline destroy creativity. So it is very important to have, definitely the communication is definitely required. Autonomy is definitely required. Acknowledgement is required. Agile leadership definitely required. But what is the most important thing which is required as in the organizational level to make sure that they will share the proper career graph for in one individual? Because when it comes to the ethical ideology, na, it is something very intrinsic in nature, which comes from an individual set of values and beliefs. And when there is a set of values and beliefs which is very individualistic in nature, definitely the performance is getting hampered or developed through these values and behaviors. So culture and a good working culture will add on to the good performance, but there should be a positive relation. But when there is a pressure, when there is an excessive deadline, when there is an excessive, what I would say, the right word I would say, when there is a pressure, then maybe you will complete the task, but on the other side, you will destroy that one intrinsic motivation within that individual. So it is very important when you are enhancing your culture, when you are developing your culture, you'll make sure to keep that intrinsic motivation, which would add the fuel for the ethical practices which an organization is expecting from their uh, employees. So it is very important for individual to understand that a good fostering culture will only be positive when there is a positive relation with the people. Now, let's move to the next slide, which talks about the ethics behavior, that what exactly the organizational ethics is. I hope I'm pretty much clear about the things which is very much grounded at the level to understand ethics, because if we don't understand culture, we're not able to deal with ethics. So at the ground level, we have to understand culture first. Now, when you talk about these ethics, it is very important. It's absolutely true. Organization expect people to be in the right behavior. But what on the other side employees expect from the employer? Fair and justice at the workplace, transparency at the workplace. And why it is important? Because you're talking about ethics, which is very intrinsic and individual in nature. So it is important for organization that if they want to enhance the ethical practices at the workplace, they must show the fairness within the responsibilities, within the roles, within the jobs. Everything should be fair in nature, distributive in nature, without any biasness or favoritism. Not it should not be there, because when there is a fairness, you will also at the organizational level, in the context of organization only, I am saying, if the organization expect that individual will show the fairness, on the other side, the organization has to show the transparency and distributive thing. So it is very important for leaders to understand that when they are assigning some work to an individual, when they are giving a task to people, there should be a fairness in it. Because when behavior is getting affected now, it creates an impact on the performance. So, principle and values are very intrinsic. And when the individual principle and values are getting aligned with the organizational visions and missions, it is expected by the organization to have a good working behavior. But on the other side, the organization also need to understand this thing, that acknowledgement, transparency, fairness, and a good working practices should be included. Because it is, what I would say, that after COVID only, I have to tell you, I met many people in my at my workplace where the people were not very happy with the this remote working operations and with this hybrid way of dealing with people. So I asked them that what exactly hurt them, what exactly created disturbance in them, and then they said that They were not that tech savvy. So it was really hard for them to learn, these kind of things. Because if you asked from a traditional people, they are not very much, oriented with this Zoom call or Google Meet. So as an academician, I'm saying I have met many of the professors over there. So I asked them that what exactly disturbed you? They said, why I need to learn this thing? I said, this is something very good. This is something very new. So it is important for you to learn. Why? But what exactly, why I have put this particular thing over here? Because their understanding of things are very different. A traditional classroom teaching with blackboard is very different. And the way we are interacting with each other, it is also very different in nature. Yeah, that's true. The millennial will not understand what Gen Z and Gen Alpha talks about. But what exactly the ethics plays here, that maybe the principles and understanding of things may get changed. So you have to be more flexible in nature. After COVID, when we see this kind of a working operation, we become more flexible in our approach. And we not only on the part of the the product orientation or the technology orientation, on the other side also people started talking about mental well-being, health. People started talking about spirituality at workplace. And why? Because they see this thing that it is high time that we need to include the things at, because it is required. Ethical practices are required. People are getting disturbed, people are getting burnout, people are getting not getting that kind of a value which is required. So it is very important to have that kind of a fairness at the workplace, which creates an impact on people's mind that no, it is my duty to give back something to the organization. It is my duty to be more pro-social in my approach. And this organizational ethics is very important aspect. Nowadays, if you talk about ethical values should be intacted, and it must stay, it should intact, because it will add or it will create or foster the positive attitude in the workplace. So it is very important. Now moving to the next slide, which talks about the ethics and culture. There are a lot of things which influence the organization culture and ethics. Leadership is the most important aspect when you talk about ethics. If you are under inefficient leader's hand, you will not be able to explore yourself very nicely or very gracefully at your workplace. So your leadership influence is the most important aspect when you're developing in good ethical practices. Norms and behavior is very set of, I would say, it's a very set of structured approach. When in the workplace, when you see there are abiding rules that you need to follow, there are some set of structure that you need to follow, and those set of structures are somewhere down the line is influencing your values at an individual levels, and your individual values makes you to be more engaged at your workplace when they are aligning with the organizational values. Employee behavior is very important aspect when we are talking about this organizational ethics, because when you talk about the behavior of an employee, na, it deals with two major things. One is engagement and one is enlargement. How the new responsibilities has added and how these new responsibilities is affecting your motivation level. So your employee behavior is very major prospect of your job. And it is important for the organization that when they are enlarging the job role, they make sure that they must think about the intrinsic motivation which an individual is carrying. And it is in under the hand of leaders, because it is the duty of leaders to influence the people in that manner that the people who are working under them should not feel that they are left out in the team. They must not feel that there is a silo practices going on at the workplace. They must see that there is a engagement at the workplace. There is a team building attitude at the workplace. And it is very important for leaders to engage the people, because when they engage the people, they are actually directly or indirectly influencing them to go for the change. There is a model by Kurt Lewins which talks about unfreezing, moving, and refreezing state, which says that people are not okay with the change. They feel fatigue about it. And even if there is a fatigue, organizations should definitely go for the fatigue managements. But when people are at the unfreezing stage, it is the important aspect for the organization to be more careful. Why? Because this is the major stage where people either stay or they leave. Because when they are moving with the change, some may like it, some may don't like it. The people who are interested in going further, they'll move further and they refreeze themselves. This is the model which has been given by Lewins, which he states that maybe you're not having that kind of a skill which is required at this particular period of time, but you could have been trained in that manner that you can reskill yourself, and you by reskilling yourself you can add productivity at your workplace. So adaptability to change should be there, and it is very important for leaders to influence the people in that manner. It is definitely, as I've already discussed, the transparent communication is required. Adaptability attitude is something very individual. So, as the employee aspect, it is also very important that you need to be more adaptable in your approach. So, ethics and culture is something very interrelated. And when you are talking about a good working culture which will foster the good ethical practices, and that could only be done when their values are getting aligned with the organizational aspect. Moving towards the next slide, which talks about the case study, and I hope people are very much having an idea about the case study. And if you have not read the case study, it's perfectly fine. So this case study was, all about a managing director. This case is about a company called XYZ Corporation, and it was real estate company, and they were having not a very good director. But before this new managing director has joined, the earlier managing director was very very bureaucratic in his nature, and market has been affected very badly. But this new managing director was very much interested in creating the culture, and deliberately I have given this case here because this particular case talks about the culture which this new managing director has imposed for 4 years, and within that 4 years a lot of different behavior has come up, a lot of things has been changed. like this new managing director like this new managing director, what exactly he has done, he has handle the thing so nicely that the whole organization has seen a remarkable change after 4 years. What exactly he did? As the earlier managing director was not very open with his communication, but the new managing director was very open in his communication. Second thing, the new managing director has allowed a good team meetings. If you go to any of the workplace, like you people are working, so you can see that there is a hierarchy, right? A top is talking to middle and the middle is communicating to the lower. But when you talk about this particular case, he has not kept any hierarchical structure. He has kept a flat organizational structure. A good team meeting was done, and he was talking to each and every person, either it's from lower level or from middle level, and he's openly communicating with them rather than imposing his things on them. He asked them that what exactly the need of the hour, what is the major thing that is required at the workplace. And when people started talking about it. People started saying that there is need of this new resources, new technology. We are not having this kind of a training. We need this kind of a training. So before going to the market outside the organization, he has done the work inside the organization. He asked the people that what exactly required, and like there were a lot of people who were not okay with this approach. There were a lot of people who were saying that why our promotion will get hurt. Our things, our personal interest is not to create anything for the market. My job will be over if we follow these kind of. So people were very silos in their nature, very individualistic in their approach. But there were a lot of managers who were very much interested in this kind of a change. And on the other side, the managing director was very much interested in implementing the change. Apart from the customer or the product, he asked to his followers, to his managers, to his own people that what exactly required at this period of time. And people were very much okay in discussing. Open communication was done. What exactly he did? He created the programs for his own people and a Kaizen program for the customer relationship. And he saw a remarkable change. Maybe people were very apprehensive at the initial stage. They were not okay that this kind of a change will be implemented, but they were even 40% were not okay, but 60% were very much okay that no, we will go for this change. And the people has followed him. People has reskilled themselves, and after reskilling they have seen a remarkable change. So uh, if let's move to the next slide, which talks about the analysis of the case. But before I talk about this analysis, I'm shooting up with one poll question here. And this is a very straightforward question. And the question is that, are you under cooperative hand? Are your leaders following the cooperative approach?
Dear attendees, I just want to let you know with the poll that you're answering, today's webinar will be a paid webinar. Okay. You'll have to pay the certificate fee for it, which is $10. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, very interesting. So 78% are saying they are in cooperative hands, and I have seen 22% are saying they are not in cooperative hands. Are your leaders following the cooperative approach? Okay, that's great. 29% are saying no, they are not following the cooperative approach. And that's true. Because if you see in this case, there were a lot of people who were having the silos approach. They were not okay with the many, MD's new MD's new rule. But he was very, what I would say, very having this kind of an attitude that it's not about the product, it's about my people. So people who were saying that their organization is not having the cooperative approach, I must believe that they will not lose their ethical values. They must intact their ethical values because that is most important, right? And definitely, if we do the analysis of this case, the leadership style was very cooperative. Because if you read the case, over there it is mentioned the last leader was very bureaucratic in nature and there was a very less communication. So what exactly he did? He opened it. He opened the forum. He allowed the people to come, bring their problem, tell me what kind of a solution they are expecting from him. So, within and outside the organization, it is very important. And when you talk about these ethics, when you talk about these culture, this new managing director, he never thought about it, that what he was not aware. Now you can't predict the result, what is going to be after 4 years or 5 years down the line. But only he was interested is to retain the best of his talent. That was his ethical practice. That was his ethical ideology. He know that he can do best in his market, and this has been proved. This it has been shown that he has taken up a charge. He knew that a new partnership is required with the same kind of a people. Can you see the beauty of this case, that a new partnership is required, but with the same kind of a people? Here, trust plays a most important role. Open communication plays a most important role. Distributive justice plays a most important role, which is the major part in developing any of the ethical practices. The ethical ideology will only comes up at the workplace when leaders shows that they are ethical in their nature. So it is important for a leader to see the things in a holistic way. And it is very, very, what I would say, very graceful at his part, that he allowed the people to speak. He was very cooperative. Rather than speaking what he has in a mind, he gave an ear to listen. He allowed the people to share their problems. Moving towards the next slide, which talks about the relationship between the manager are not good. And when you talk about this relationship, it is a very big thing, your interconnection, your interpersonal skills plays a most important role. Because when you see this kind of a relationship at a workplace now, it is it actually creates a good citizenship behavior. Like when you talk about this interrelationship prospect, what I'm saying, that when you, like, you have given a very good answer in that poll question, which I talk about, that citizenship behavior influence the culture, and you, most of you people said that yes, and relationship definitely plays a most important, because you can only speak with your manager when he wants to speak to you. You can only tell about your problem when he really interested in listening to you. And this, in this case, it has been seen. The earlier managing director was not interested. He was just giving the role. He was having pressure. He's passing the pressure. And his middleman is doing with the lower man. So it is very important to be very empathize at your workplace. Empathy is very important. If you get empathy, you give empathy. So this relationship was not good. So what exactly he did? He had done a lot of team meetings, irrespective of the rank and file. He has followed a flat structure approach rather than going with the hierarchy. Because when it comes with the hierarchy, there are a lot of things will get misunderstood, misguided, misrepresented. But when it comes from one to many, there is a proper open communication. I'm not saying the hierarchical structure is not good. I'm not saying the flat structure is more good. But it is very important for leaders to understand this thing, that what is required at the present scenario. So before I move to my analysis part, I really don't have any poll question, but I really want my attendees to tell me that what kind of a communication they have at their workplace, open or close. You can write in a chat, I can see it. What kind of a communication they have in their workplace, open or close. You have to give me one answer in one word. Open, great. Open, 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 open. Close, 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 open, close, close, close. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's a mixture. That's great. That's great. I have an open relationship with my worker. Great, open. Great. I saw little, very less option on close, but I see a very good, closed. Okay. So if you have, okay. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. A mixture of answers I have received. Open communication, and it is required, and it is very much required because we were talking about relationship. We were talking about uh, dealing with the people, hierarchical but flexible, interesting, impressive, from support, superior to subordinate, a very hierarchical approach. That's true. That's true. That's true that many of the industries are set up in that manner that there should be a hierarchical structure. Many industries are having their own flat structure approach, and that's perfectly fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay, thank you so very much. I have a great audience, a very interactive audience, I must say. Very good, impressive. Okay, so when you talk about this open communication and when you talk about this close communication, it is very important because it adds the ethical values in an individual. Open communication definitely allow people to have autonomy. Open communication allow people to speak their mind. Open communication allow people to show their problems and expect it. On the other side, employer expect some empathy from their employers or from their superiors or from their leaders. Definitely, open communication is a good practice which should be followed. And this remind me of something which I thought that I must share it with you. A very famous study that has been done by Hawthorne, and the Hawthorne study talks about that a good team leading attitude should be there at the workplace. So this Hawthorne study has been done in the year of 1992. I think it has been done in US, where a lot of different hierarchical people have been involved. And when they have comes up all together, they have given one particular goal or one particular task. And the people have communicated with each other so nicely though. And there was, if you read this case, the Hawthorne experiment, you'll get it in Google. So this Hawthorne experiment basically talks about the four different approaches: relay, elimination, kind of thing. So if you get a time after the session, I request all of you to please read this Hawthorne experiment. It is a very important aspect of organizational behavior. That's why I have kept it here. This kind of experiment has allowed the even to the organizational behavior theorists to understand that interrelationship is the most important aspect in the organization. Because before Hawthorne experiment, we were following the classic and administrative rules at our workplaces. But Hawthorne has actually allowed us to think more deeply about this thing that interrelationship is very important. Communication is very important. And now come up with a case only. The person, the managing director, has set out a strategy and he introduces the new practices, he introduces the new techniques at the workplace to improve the customer services. And on the other side, he changed the attitude and behavior within the company, especially those of managers. You can see, when we are talking about the managers here, so we are talking about the middle people here, right? So what he exactly did, he created that kind of an aura in the organization that people started listening to him because first he allowed them to speak. He allowed them to tell them that what exactly the problem is. And when you show your empathy at workplace, people will come to you. They will become more pro-social in their approach. Their citizenship behavior will become more high and their ethical practice will be fostered because they are in the right hand. And this case was absolutely the biggest example to show that these people were in the right hand because they have fostered the positive culture at their workplaces. Moving to the next slide, uh, definitely the customer care and customer partnership, partnering were required, and uh, uh, behavior changes and new skills were involved. Definitely, a new Kaizen concept, the customer concept has been included. And if you see that they have worked on their, staff, and new skills has also been included, the training has been given to them, and a different behavioral expected that was expected from their employees that has been given. So it was a very good, well planned approach the managing director has taken, a very good strategic approach that they have taken. Definitely, behavioral changes at the customer level will only he get to know when he conducted a lot of surveys, when there was a communication with the people that what exactly they are expecting from the market or from the product. And on the other side, I have already discussed that a good interrelationship attitude has been given, so a kind of two different strategies which he has involved. So he has trained his skill, he has changed his style, he has created a strategy, and on the other side, he did the same at the outside level. So when these two are coming together and forming a good productive thing at their workplace, that actually proves that he has taken a very good, style, a good leadership approach has been seen in this case. And moving to the next slide, which talks about the McKinsey 7 work. This is basically, the 7S work, which could be used to understand the culture and the organization culture styles and the ethics values. But it is more, deeply rooted with the culture, which I'm saying, and leadership approach. Definitely, strategy. The new managing director has that he must implement a new style at their workplace. Definitely, a structure has been changed, a flat structure approach has been used, open communication has been used. The staff has been reskilled in that manner that they are systematically using the best of their resources, what they are having, and hiring a third person so that they can reskill their people, right? And a new style that has been taken by this new managing director that has been seen in the case that he was very cooperative in his nature. Another thing is that skilled part, if I would say, definitely at the workplace he has done, and outside the workplace also he has done. So this entire case has actually shown us this thing that 7S frameworks plays a pivotal role when he's developing this attitude at the workplace. Now, moving to the next slide, which talks about that what exactly the concern for 2024. Like, if you talk about these strategies, these are the major things that, as the ethical prospect, we need to look up. Definitely, a leader and manager development is required. Because when you talk about this manager aspect, like in the case we have seen, the managing director has opened the firm, right? He has reskilled the worker. And even in 2024, after COVID, when people started talking about skill behavior, when people started talking about the KRAs, KSIs, at this time, it is very important for leaders to be more efficient in their approach, that they must skill the people in that manner, that they must keep their mental and good well-being, and also be more productive in their approach. So it is very important for, leader to be more supportive, to be more empathetic, to be more transparent, to be more cooperative, to allow the people to be, the dynamic approach should be there, right? As we have already discussed about the culture, we have already discussed about the good citizen behavior, we already discussed about the altruistic attitude that you need to keep, and it is very important because your pro-social values, your altruistic behavior plays an important role in fostering the good organizational culture, which would help in developing a good working practices. HR technology, as I'm saying that, maximize the best of the business. And when you talk about, maximizing the HR technology, it is something about the aligned business that we are talking about, and be more optimized, be more positive, be more, what I would say, sustainable. I would say sustainable. I think it is the high time that we should talk about these sustainable practices. So it is very important. Another thing that, this change management, as I've already discussed it very deeply through my case, that when you foster a good working practices at your workplace, when you become more cooperative in your workplace, automatically it induces the ethical practices among your employees. So change management should be done in that manner that it must not create a fatigue at the workplace. And if there is a fatigue at the workplace, there should be a management who will deal with that. So the change management should be done in a very careful, in a very protective manner, and it should be in a productive way. So very important aspect. Definitely, the career management and internal mobility is required. Everybody wants to, to see them growing, right? And when you are growing at some work at your workplace, it is very important for you to, to be more, what I would say, to be more uh, explorable in the nature. And on the other side, the organization should also look up at this thing that they must create that kind of a graph that employees should not think that he is just doing the work for the sake of doing the work. So the career management and internal mobility should be in that manner that it allow the people to also think that organization cares about me, he concerns about me. Definitely well-being, mental health is important, but it must allow the employee to speak that what exactly he thinks that 5 years down the line, what how he sees himself, that what exactly is required, what kind of a new skill that he has to include, what kind of a new training that is required. So this kind of, this the career management, internal mobility is, I think, the need of the art, the major concern of the concern of this particular strategies that we are planning to implement in 2024. Moving to the next slide, which talks about the technology driven strategies that need to be included and the people driven strategies that need to be included. Let me just first complete with the technology driven thing. Definitely agility and adaptation is required. Leaders has to be more agile in their nature, and on the other side, the subordinate should follow the things in that manner that they they must believe in that innovation. So they are not saying that they must be ready for all time, they must be ready for all the changes which is required, but on the other side they have to be very adaptive in their nature. Like, we were not prepared for COVID, right? But when COVID hit, everything was shut down. We were talking to each other through this virtual mode, and now this virtual mode is the only option through which we can communicate with it, and we liked it, we started liking it. Work from home was I think it was for IT industry, but after COVID hits, it becomes so different that every single industry was using this medium. The virtual communication was the major thing, and we have seen this thing that even if we are not sitting in this similar location, and our geographical location is very different. So what? We are interacting, we are doing the work. So remote work optimization and agile leadership and be more adaptable in the approach is the more technology driven strategies that we can keep. And it is very important also to embrace the technology, because if we see the new AI practices has been there, ChatGPT 4 is there now. People are started, seeing this as a blessing that, oh, we have a chat GPT, oh, we have this option, oh, we can just create the work within few minutes. And this is only coming through the people only, because they have been trained in that manner, that they are they have been empowered in that manner, that they have come up something like this called chat GPT. So embracing the technology and automation in that manner is definitely required. And when you are doing it with analytics, when you are doing it with decision makings, when there is a proper data, when there is a proper way through which you can do an analysis, that whatever the new decision or whatever the new uh, uh, things you're planning to impose at your workplace, is it fine? So there is a fact that is available in the market, which would help into creating a good decision making. So there are a lot of new technology driven strategies which is coming up in the markets, and it is very important for people to understand that they must empower themselves in that manner, that they will come, maybe like if we see that if we use the things in that manner, that we can empower ourselves, and also we empower the our individual values, which will definitely add on our ethical practices, because we are working through the facts, we are working through the basics, we are working from the ground level. So it is very important, so embrace it in that manner, to empower yourself in that manner. Now moving to the next slides, which talks about the employee centric behavior. Definitely diversity, equity, and inclusion is required, and it is important for leaders to to include this kind of initiatives, where both the gender will feel that they are being valued. And we always see this thing, and we always face this thing, that woman has not been given a chance to prove herself. But I think after COVID, or even before COVID, this new practices has been applied at the workplaces in that manner, that a woman has also started feeling that they are important part of the organization. Now maybe I'm sounding very feminist here, but what exactly I'm saying, that irrespective of the gender, the work role should be given, right? And it is very important for the leaders to give a chance to the people, to be more dynamic in their approach, to be more diverse in their approach, to be more explorative in their approach, to allow the people to be the part of that one particular community, or that if they are from the different culture, then it is required that there should not be any kind of racism or discrimination on the basis of the gender, age, caste, creed. So DIA initiatives should definitely be there for making the employees more, they must feel that they are being valued at their workplace. Definitely, a leadership development is required. Knowledge sharing behavior should be there. A knowledge sharing behavior will allow the people to have a good amount of transcendences behavior at a workplace. If you read a motivational theory given by Abraham Maslow, he has talked about the hierarchical needs. He defines that there are some hierarchical needs, and he comes up with this term called transcendences very late in his life, like maybe in the 1970s or 80s. And he says that a leaders, there are very, very few papers which has been published which talks about the Maslow transcendences concept, but there are a lot of other authors which talks about this transcendences behavior, and they said that it is very important for leaders to feel that they just don't think about themselves beyond the calling, beyond the I calling, more than my individual benefits. I need to do something extra. So leader, it I'm not saying that leaders should become sad. I'm not saying this thing, but all I'm saying that it is very important for leaders to be more cooperative and empathize in their prospect. And that could only be done when the top level will feel, will have empathy with the middle level people. So it is required at the leadership development part that they have been trained in that manner, that they must allow the other people to speak, and they must allow the other people to use their best of the talent. Definitely a good collaboration and a team building attitude should be maintained. And when you have a good knowledge sharing behavior, a good team building attitude at your workplace, you are actually giving a chance for people to speak for themselves. A team building attitude will definitely have a good diversity at the workplace. And when there is a diversity, there is a lot of new ideas. And when there is a lot of new ideas, there is a lot of new beliefs will get up. So it is very important. And a new wisdom will come up when there is a team building attitude at the workplace. Definitely, employee well-being and engagement is the most important thing. Now people started talking about mental health. People started talking about well-being of the employee. There were a lot of people will say that they will feel burnout at their workplace. They will feel that the organization is just giving up with the never-ending tasks are there. So it is very important to engage the people and to provide that kind of a responsibility to the people, that they must feel that they are being valued at the workplace, and they feel that they are engaged at the right place. In HR, there is a saying that put right people at the right time for the right work. And it is very important for organizational prospect, because we are talking about organizational ethical practices here. So it is very important to engage people with the right amount of right skill of people with the right amount of work. So engagement should be same. It should not be that a wrong people has been put at the right role. So employee centric behavior should be definitely included, and it is required. Moving on the next slide, which talks about the sustainability attitude that we need to keep. And if you see, we are coming up with a lot of new practices which talks about the sustainability. Definitely, one should implement that kind of a programs. One should definitely uh, initiate that kind of a things which deals with sustainability, because sustaining in the market is the most important thing. It's not only about the profit which you are earning in the market. Sustainable attitude and coming up with the sustainable initiatives is very important. And you can only motivate your people to come up with some sustainable initiatives when you have the rewards for the employees. So definitely you have the organizational level, if they are following the sustainable practices, which is very much which after as I'm saying, that we become more organic in our nature, we become more critical in our nature. And it is very required that when you're talking about this sustainability, when you talk about the sustainable initiatives, that you must prepare your employees in that manner, that when they comes up with this kind of a practices at the workplace, or when they're implementing this practices at their own job role, so there would be a reward which somewhere down the line going to motivate the employee to be more sustainable in their approach. Definitely, recognize and celebrate achievements in sustainability is also very important, because uh, it's not only taking up the initiative, also taking up these things as a practices. When you celebrate the things, when you recognize those things, that would be is very important. I would definitely take up your question. I can see a lot of questions are coming. I would love to give answers on that, but let me just complete this sustainable practices, and then I'll come up with then will be an open forum that where we can interact with each other. So let me just complete. So definitely some incentive and recognition should be should be included, and it is required. People started talking about climate, people started talking about environment, people started talking about how they can keep the green environment. And a lot of research has been published on green HRM or green HRM at workplace. So a lot of sustainable practices has also been uh, already been, I would say, has been already been implemented by a lot of organization. Another slides which talks about the another practices, definitely waste reduction program should be included. And when you include these kind of programs, now people will see that there are some measures that we need to keep. Definitely this kind of implementation will set up a standards for the other industries, that when this industry is following, because it is very important, corporate social responsibility is very important aspect for every industry. So when we are initiating this kind of a green HRM at workplace or green workplace initiatives, that would actually encourage the people to be more sustainable, to be more environment friendly in their approach. Now, with this note, now I would end my slides discussion, and I'm very much open for the definitely the open for the we can you yeah, just the last slide, Ankita, before the case study. Okay. Definitely the sustainable practices, I think I missed it. Definitely the sustainable practices that we need to keep is a transparency and a communication. As I've already given you the case where a managing director has opened a forum for the people, I have already discussed about the ethical practices here. I have also discussed about the Hawthorne experiments, which talks about the interrelationship. So if you see this thing, na, every little thing, either you talk about culture, either you talk about your ethics, either you talk about the sustainable practices, everything deals with the transparency, with the trust, with the open communication. You can only ask people to be more work oriented when you show the concern for the people. So it is important for leaders to have this, the understanding of this thing, that be more people centric rather than product centric. Sustainable practices could only be achieved. The goals, the best of the practices, the best of the progress, the best of the thing could only be achieved when you have a culture of transparency. This sustainable practices is something very ethical in nature. This is something very organizational, ethical aspect, and that could only be achieved when you have a transparent communication, when you allow the people to speak what they have in their mind, when you listen to them, that what exactly the problems they are facing. Of course, the open dialogue will help the organization to understand that what exactly the issues and what could be the solution in the workplace. So these kind of practices that could be included. And with this note, now I'll end my discussion, and I'm very much open for the question answer round. Over to you, Ankita.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the very enlightening session that we had, where basically we got to know so much on corporate culture, corporate ethics. Thank you for your enlightenment. Dear attendees, before we have a Q&A, we'll be having a small PowerPoint presentation put up by me. By the time you can think over the questions, okay, and put your questions in the chat box. Followed by this, we'll be having a Q&A session where the panelists would be answering your questions. Okay, so dear attendees, as you know, we are Uni Athena, Okay. And we are established in 2019. Athena Global Education is an edtech company headquartered in UK. We are offering courses, almost 400 plus courses from various universities. So basically we go by affordable, flexible, and accessible. That is what we go by. So our partnered universities, as you can see on the screen, are Guglielmo Marconi, Italy, Abertay, UCAM, CIQ. So we offer courses from various domains, from academic programs and short courses, which are free to take courses, learn for free. So we offer courses from masters, microcredits, MBAs, doctorate, basic, essentials, mastering, diploma, executive diploma, and MBA essentials. So basically we have these unique features coupled with our courses. So we offer flexible payment options. The courses are 100% online. It's a self-paced learning. The accrediting universities are from various parts of the world. Module course delivery and a personal tutor connect once you enroll into the course. So basically with every course, with every learning resource, or once you enroll to the course, have the 4 learning resources, just a lesson video tutorial, the essential readings as the concept notes. Then you have the additional reading material for some practical exposure and reference material. So you can check our offerings at www.uniathena.com. And this is our email address. So for any further queries, you can write to admissions@uniathena.com. Okay. Now we are open to Q&A session. Okay, so Ms. Sharma, I will just reading out the question. You can have them answered. Okay.
Okay.
So the first from an anonymous attendee saying, I kindly ask you explain more on evaluation slide.
Evaluation slide. Can we go